Okay, I just started it. ठीक, I'll just share my screen. Shravanthi, did you get the Vasan tool wala thing as well?
No, Rohit, he's not in office. He's in some other meeting, Pawan sir.
Fine.
Yeah. He just
So,
shared the app link to me, but it is asking the login details.
ठीक.
Yeah.
कोई नहीं, we'll do with what we have now, and then we'll jump to
Okay.
the other thing later. Is my
Okay.
screen? I've shared the link to everybody on email as well. Um, I'm just putting it here on chat as well, and I'm sharing my screen too. So this was the link. Okay, can somebody confirm if you can see my screen full screen?
Yes, we can see.
Can, right? ठीक. Right. So the backdrop of this exercise was that there were quite a few complaints. I mean, questions generally coming from our partners. And generally, I mean, there were quite a few SC members who had said as well. Apoor Bhai had mentioned in a SIF meeting, and a few others too, that the numbers that are being mentioned and so on, we don't really know where farmers really are on their transition journey. Some people would say it is these number of farmers, some people, and Shravanthi will take us through a similar data gathering exercise as well. But generally, to know on a farmer by farmer level where they are on their transition journey, uh, so which is where from the screening that was done for a few tools partners organizations, um, this is what we got to. So what I'll just be sharing. So there is a tool which is being used by RySS, RySS tool. There are a few other open source tools. And then there is a tool which is used by CSA, RedCap, VISA, and I'll just briefly share. We'll try and keep it interactive. So even before I finish, if at any point if there are any questions or anything, please do ask. If I feel that it will be covered at a later point in the slide, I will mention that particular situation scenario. Uh, the idea being that if we think these tools are useful, handy, etc., then we basically start seeing if we can implement these with some of our partners. Okay, so this is the RYSS tool that I'm starting with in terms of, again, and we have recordings of the RYSS of the tool demos that were given to us by people, and also for the CSA as well. So they have the SHG data source as their data source as a one-time data dump. And again, we can have such similar data sources, SHG, non-SHG, as data source. And then otherwise, people can be added one by one as well, where their contact details, etc., village, geography, etc., can be put. The farmer details are there as well in terms of the farmer profile, land, cattle, what crops are being grown, crop plan. There are some ad hoc surveys, etc., which can be put as well. So starting on from the left side, where we want to get some specific, it could be, let's say, a kitchen garden survey, for instance. Obviously, even the center is on the contact details, and the right going in a few more details. Is the farmer interested in supplying organic produce to TTD's Tirupati Mandir, Tirupati Temple, Devsthanam? So if somebody wants to do a market uh, connect chain to a specific entity. In this case, what is the designation of the farm? It could be farmer, it could be lead farmer, it could be a village organization member, and so on. Yeah, just a few more categories. So some of you who would have come to RySS field visit, I think 1.5 years ago, something like that, they would remember they have farmer categories on C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, based on where farmer again is in the transition journey, what cattle they have. The category can obviously be changed as well. Then they have something called a ICRP, institutional CRP, who maintains currently the hard copy in registers. And then there is, for one village organization, they have one ICRP, and a digital support person is working with the ICRPs, with 10 to 12 ICRPs to help transmission the data digitally. Here is again what they are also having, a crop plan as well. So, for 22 quintal paddy which is being generated, and also how is the land, etc. What is the overall land treatment that is being used? So the inputs, some other principles, pre-monsoon dry sowing, some other practices, etc., etc. Those have been captured in, and this is in the 1 acre area. The survey model which I was talking about earlier for questions which have not been captured elsewhere, that is being used by the RySS tool. They have this dashboard as well, where they can track at a management level, a breakdown on some, district by district, gender wise, what is the farmer breakdown, social category wise, etc., etc. Where farmers are. And yeah, this is the dashboard screenshot. Platform Commons is the entity. कुलदीप भाई, आप 10 मिनट लेट हो, आप काफी कुछ मिस किए हो. कुलदीप भाई.
हाँ हाँ
हाँ, 10-15 मिनट लेट है, काफी कुछ मिस किए हैं.
नहीं, मैं काफी देर से ये किया हूँ, लेकिन ना मोबाइल से लॉगिन किया था ना, तो इसीलिए जो है
अगर ऐसे दिक्कत हुआ करे तो किसी को कॉल पे या कुछ बता दिया करिए, ये प्रॉब्लम
मैं
हुआ.
9:30 में ही जुड़ा था, 9:30 में मैं जुड़ा था. उसके बाद हुआ था फिर
अभी कंटिन्यू करें. आपका जो मिस हुआ है वो आप बाद में रिकॉर्डिंग कर देख लीजिएगा.
ओके श्योर.
होता है. और अगली बार से अगर ऐसा हो तो बता दिया करिए चैट में कि लेट हो रहे हैं. तो जो ये RySS का जो टूल के बारे में जो मैं बता रहा था, ये इनका, दे हैव अ फ्यू डिफरेंट reports, dashboards, etc., which have already been developed. And this is a tool which is explicitly built for RySS as of now. Nobody else is using this tool generally. A multilingual tool, English and Telugu right now. In future, if you want to use this tool, Hindi could be added as well. ये Platform Commons team, some of us would know Platform Commons. They have a team which has been onboarded in RySS, which is working on this. For certification वगैरह as well, the questions that are asked in PGS certification, those are asked in there as well. Imran bhai, same for you as well. Catch up on recordings, or in future tell in advance if the timing doesn't work for you. Then yeah, this is certification questions, etc., that are input being used. The idea being that once it is captured there, then it can feed onto the PGS portal as well. Then yeah, some other MIS related queries that are being asked for a monthly progress basis on the farmer. So some of these would be asked. So I guess there is importance of this is some of these questions would be asked repeatedly, whereas some of these would be more seasonal in nature as well. For instance, did you use any chemicals in the last month? If so, when? So these would be a lesser number of questions would be asked repeatedly. Then from a tool perspective, again, yeah, the PGS certification ka channelizing, porting of existing data to the PGS portal, that is being under. So these are things which are underway in progress. Crop cutting experiments. So crop cutting experiment is something which is used to get an estimation of the overall yield data, in the sense that one might only be measuring a certain portion of the land to get an idea of how much yield, etc., has been generated and multiply it based on that. So those experimental data is coming in. Socioeconomic parameters, soil parameters supposed to come in later. Yeah, and an individual farmer card is going to be generated, where somebody can see a farmer and otherwise as well by scanning where were they at the beginning, where are they now, and so on. And the extension services can then see it to integration with more government databases as well in pipeline. So right now they have the SRLM, the SHG database. Eventually, then male farmers ke liye bhi, it will come in, and then SMS chat reminders in terms of what a farmer is supposed to be doing. So some various activities ke liye. So that reminder is in process. This conversation me and Sravanthi had with the RySS person 2 months ago. So I think 2-3 months ago, things would have moved from them. And yeah, they're also putting a WhatsApp chatbot. Chatbot is in a auto generated based on some queries. So that is also coming in, being looked into. So that is that on the RySS tool. Before we move on, are there any questions, etc., things which are not clear that anybody would like more information on upon? I'll wait for a minute or so.
Rohit bhai,
Uh-huh.
just want to get a sense of so this is primarily being done by the ICRP who is on the ground fetching of information, है ना?
So the idea is abhi ke liye, so they have this two things. One is they have a digital CRP who's getting in a whole lot of the earlier paperwork information which was there. So uska transition is being done. But yes, secondly, the intent is then capturing of this in here, then that is being done by the trained ICRPs. So the digital CRP role can be transitioned off, and it is then at the village level CRP.
Okay, and what is this?
Capturing.
How? So one is physical CRP who goes with a tablet or a mobile phone, sits with the farmer and takes the information whatever is required in the form. The second is what is virtual CRP? Like virtual one? How is it that?
They have two categories of CRPs. Their institutional structure is very interesting to go through, very insightful. And again, we have captured it, those of us who had gone there. This was before you had joined Manas Bhai. But basically, the idea of so the idea was that a regular CRP will not be accustomed to using such a tool, etc. in right away. And this would be a journey for the CRP, which might take a good period of time. So the virtual CRP coming in to help with these tools, information, data capturing, etc. Well, a thing, and a one-to-many relationship between a digital CRP and a regular ICRP. Then but the digital CRP then hopefully also getting the community ICRP up to speed, so that can be done by that person in due course of time. Sravanthi or anybody else, do you want to add anything on this question? Who have greater experience of RYSS?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just before Shravanti pitches in, just you can also Shravanti answer to this question. What are the things that are required at a farmer level to be done in a standardized format month after month? Is there anything that comes on a farmer even with ICRPs and which they are doing regularly, which helps an ICRP or a local person fetch totem, something like a farm diary or some? Is there something like that? I want to.
Shravanthi, do you want to take both these?
Yes, for the first question, there will be ICRPs in the cluster level, that means unit level. So they maintain the records, and also they have a this app in their mobile phones. They'll get all the farmers' data. They will go to the farmers' field, take the pictures of the field and upload all the required data in that app. And coming to the digital person, if the ICRPs have any queries regarding the app or any issues, they will ask the digital CRP who is in the district office. So
Okay.
that is the role of consolidating all the data from the ICRPs. That is the work of digital CRP. And on the field level, the ICRP will do all this app related work. And if there is any issues in the app, the digital CRP will clarify that.
Very quickly, Shravanthi, just on this one, before you take on the second point, Manas Bhai had, the the digital CRP, I mean, is that at the district level? Is that what you were mentioning? Because the ratio of 10:1 wala for the village CRPs to ICRP, I would have thought that the digital CRPs would have to be at a, I don't know, cluster level or so on, cluster block level rather than district level.
No, when I was working in RYSS, there will be one digital CRP, one or two. That's it. For all the ICRPs, there will be one or two digital CRPs in the district office, because all the ICRPs will go to the district office monthly once to the debriefing meetings, so they can clarify their doubts.
Right. So I do not know if that this is in the case, but maybe what might have happened is they might have increased the number of digital CRPs.
It depends upon the requirement of regarding the DPMU unit.
So because just I'm just basing this based on what I understood from the RYS person on the ratio of 10 to CRP covering 10 to 12 ICRPs. So if maybe I don't know, thing might have scaled up a bit more and they might have felt a higher ratio. Anyways, that is the first thing. Manas bhai, to your second question, Shravanthi, if you want to take that on as well.
Manas bhai, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So my second question was, what is even after having ICRP, digital CRPs, and all those things, is there anything that is asked from a farmer to be done on a regular basis? Some documentation, some noting information, which when an ICRP goes, comes handy. Is there anything like that also? Or data collection or information collection is primarily responsibility of an ICRP, and a farmer doesn't have to completely involved into maintaining any records or something like that. So that clarity I wanted to understand.
And specifically, we're also asking what things might be captured on a monthly basis repeatedly.
Yeah.
On monthly basis, generally, the ICRP visit the farmer's field and saw whether there is any pest incidents and what kind of botanical concoctions did the farmer used. Did they use as per recommendation or not? Is there any result visible in the field? Such things they will note down and took the picture of the field.
Okay.
Other than that, only the intervals, crop intervals and the concoctions they used till the end of the crop, and in the crop ending they will focus on crop cutting experiments, yield, that's it.
Okay.
Uh,
So one now, like I just another question pops up in my mind before we end this. How is what is the approach in terms of top down approach, as in whatever data that we are collecting in under RySS is how that data is becoming relevant, which is changing things on the ground at a farmer level. So is there any feedback mechanism that is very dynamic, wherein whatever information that is coming from the ground up is being processed, evaluated, and then uh, acted out in a way where directly a farmer is getting some suggestions or some kind of result? I'm just thinking out loud how these mechanisms function in terms of back and forth. Um, did you get it? What I'm trying to?
no.
No. Okay, Rohit bhai, will you help me detail it out?
So yeah, I'm trying to, again, I was partly attentive because I thought your question was towards Shravanti, so I thought I could.
No worries. So what I'm trying to ask is basically.
I can help it out.
Okay,
Manas.
please, Korean, please.
Shravanti, the data that are being collected by the ICRPs, where does it go to? Like higher officials, and higher officials, if any, are they providing any result or reply or feedback to these information collected back to the farmers? So that if at all you said that the IC will analyze what are the bio inputs that they have used or
Yes.
that they have used for a particular disease or pest, and they collect the ICRP collected the information and gave it to the higher official.
Yes.
Will the higher official reply back to the ICRP or that particular farmer that the concoction that they have used is wrong, or that they have used is at the incorrect time? If they reply, how is it? How is that process?
Okay. Yes. Understood. Thank you, Korean. So,
Manas, right?
Yes. How does that system works of information going up and then being utilized in something constructive and coming back to the farmer again? How does system?
Yes. So the data collected by the ICRP from the farmer will be consolidated by the digital CRP. So digital CRP is in the district office, DPMU office. That means with the DPM, district project manager. He is the head of the entire district. So in monthly debriefing meetings, all the ICRPs, CRPs, whoever the cadres are working at the ground level, they will all attend to the debriefing meeting. So the DPM will go through all the consolidated data. In that data, he will find out what are the major problems coming from the farmers, what are the solutions they already practicing on the ground, whether it is accurate or not. everything will be uh, seen by the DPM with the help of the data collected from the digital CRP. So in the debriefing meeting, he will give a small session or lecture kind of thing to all the participants regarding the problems they have faced. And the ICRPs can directly interact with the DPM, and if they have any doubts, they will clarify with the DPM. So he will uh, give the technical support and everything they wanted in the debriefing meeting itself.
And just to add a few more things, Manas bhai. So one is, we know from our field visit that at least the paper information which is being collected at a at a community institution level, that data is looked, and there is monitoring, etc., done on that, on trying to identify what things can be improved, and so on. So that was for the paper level. We did check on the digital level, and which is where there are various category of users. So it would be that uh, federation of SHG, etc. level, similar data viewing can be done. And obviously you would have seen the monitoring wala information. So I guess we might not completely know how it is being done currently digitally. Yeah. So one part is it is being done for the management layer. Second is what they were mentioning on the farmer card, which is still being built. It is in the tool pipeline. And the transition journey of a farmer will be able to be dragged, and a farmer and the extension services, etc., can then look at it much more comprehensively on how that has evolved. So RySS has this annual action plan that they do with the farmers.
Okay.
So then, where then it is being tracked on what a farmer is going to cultivate, etc. What are the practices, inputs? And you would remember in the earlier screenshot where what overall practices are being done. Here, these are being captured as well. So we know these are being done, but what level of actual Sravanthi covered some other points, but there are a few more, I guess, question marks on these which we need to.
Yes. I think I think some clarity I've got. My only point of asking this question was to be, if we are thinking in contextualizing in our terms, so we think of data not just going from bottom to up, but also it concluding somewhere at the bottom level also, where it is impacted. So so we can go ahead, can move ahead and discuss other things also.
Does anybody else also have any more questions? So the reason why this is important is, if this is to be used in some of your states to start off with, then imagine, put yourself in a situation where if we say this is a tool, I mean, we'll go through 2-3 other tools as well, the other two being small and the third one then being a bit more detailed. If this is a tool that is to be used by CRPs of partner organizations in your states, then obviously, as a state facilitator would be having to play a significant role in that too, with other people in the secretariat as well. So if there are any questions, etc., from that perspective, that with you being in the line of doing things, if there are any questions from your end.
Rohit bhai, I don't have any questions, but I feel that if we can see this system by some like example kind of thing, that how this process goes, kind of sample of the things, So it would help me to understand more that how this works.
You mean the
Because I
sample
feel
of
it, yeah, like there is a query and we fill it up, and then there is something
right.
coming in like this WhatsApp chat. So that I feel this it's very interesting, and people in Gujarat, I feel there is no MIS kind of thing except KRSP have maintained some. Other organizations are maintaining a good MIS in the book, in some booklet kind of thing. But I feel this is more of two-way communication kind of thing. So
Huh. So what
it's
I
not
had,
one-sided communication.
right,
Yeah.
correct. And it is more than an MIS in that sense as well. It is, and which is where Aditya Bhai. So what I had done at that point of time was I had done a video recording of where the person was doing the demo. So we had done a screen share and a YouTube video record, which is from where I got the screenshots. So I'll share the video record anyways as a starter. That will help give a better idea than just the screenshots I have shared here. And obviously, if we feel this is a tool that we are interested in more as well, later on, then we can have more detailed sessions with the person as with the RySS person. Any other comments, questions, reflections? Anjul, Avisha, Korean, anybody else? कुलदीप भाई आप जितना देखे हो
Mode of collection, like is there any, just a doubt, is there any way we can see the data collected? Like, is there something, for example, we have our Salesforce data in that manner? Is there a particular way through which we can see the data that are being collected?
Good question. We can, but yeah, we didn't get into the raw data itself. But yes, let me note this down as something to take back to them. This and the other question that Manas Bhai had mentioned. So for the future conversation. Anybody, anything else from anybody else? Visha, no. Anjul, no. कुलदीप भाई कुछ आपके इसमें अगर कुछ है?
नहीं, मेरे तरफ से कुछ नहीं।
ठीक, okay. So let's move ahead to the next two set of tools. PPT अभी भी दिख रहा है, right? ODK Kobo Toolbox पर.
Yes, yes.
ठीक. So this is the previous tools they were using before this tool actually got built. And wait, per user ID, they had 10,000 forms, which can be done, but they've reached to a scale of a few lakhs wala thing. And the information, etc., getting, with it getting more and more detailed, is where it came to the internal tool which they now have. And which is where they were mentioning that simple data collection is doable, but yeah, regular monitoring, which is what we are intending to do in RySS, and I would presume we would also want to do that being more challenging. And the on-server cost for 10,000 forms per month, that being can be free. And one could ask for a greater scale as but I mean, for the scale wala thing was one challenge, and then obviously populating the government data, etc., connecting it to these tools, that was not possible in ODK Kobo Toolbox. So which is why they moved it Again, in terms of the visualization data, visualization is what they have this sort of a village mapping of various villages in different districts data and the geo mapping as well. And then also moving on to the other one, because again for this one it was a very brief few-minute summary only. This is another tool that they had, EpiCollect, for kitchen gardens. And the reason that they had this was because basically, and they still continue to have it, because it is being done in a legacy manner, where for the kitchen garden data information, they were collecting it in this tool itself. And at a farmer identifier level, so they collect the Aadhaar number, etc. So which is where they tie the data right now, which is being collected at RySS and at EpiCollect. I guess from our sense, if we do it, then obviously it would be ideal to have everything being done in one tool itself, I guess.
Can you show the other questions also?
So EpiCollect, so this is where the baseline that they're collecting. So this is one part, and then so what I'm sharing in the screen here being one part until it, and then some more questions here.
Okay. Yeah, एक second.
On the consumption side of questions. Those of you who are seeing this from your mobile might want to revisit this as well in the recording on your laptops when you get the YouTube links.
Okay, but this is largely, the EpiCollect thing is largely on the sociological. अभी तक जो रहा है, it has been more on the sociological and the eating habits, but how is it, where is that kitchen garden documentation of kitchen garden being asked?
So yeah, this is on the consumption part of things. Kitchen garden वाले इसके लिए कहाँ गया?
Just wanted to see किस तरह के questions उन्होंने लिखे हैं.
So yeah, इसी में I guess when he was scrolling down, my guess would be Sravanthi. Would you know? Have you come across EpiCollect earlier? I would be making some assumptions.
Okay, no worries. Leave it there.
He told that we can change the concept according to our needs.
No. But the question is, how are they doing it at the moment for kitchen garden? So what sort of questions are there for kitchen gardens from their side at the moment?
No,
it's okay. No worries. We'll see it.
But I'll just take down one of this too.
Like, why are they collecting this? What is that data that they are taking from this? Did they share that?
Just for the kitchen garden wala bit, we didn't ask, I think.
Okay.
But generally it was basically on what area, what size, etc., how much, and again the corresponding consumption related questions as well.
Yeah, because production and all related things will not be covered in the kitchen garden. Largely.
Right.
ठीक है Rohit, can go on.
Okay, so EpiCollect and ODK Kogo toolbox, these are very basic tools that way. So we got them in on only limited information, etc. This was the last one. This red cap wala bit, and this is what is being used by CSA. Again, a mobile application, and we'll get to some more details. But basically, this is much more detailed level data to capture demographic data, household economic data, looking at gender-based decision making and empowerment as well, trying to do time use division. How are you spending your 24-hour time period? Looking at marketing choice support, exposure to extended services, cost of cultivation. So much more detailed and also to fit research perspective, research questions, research related needs as well. Translation is happening in Hindi. Currently, this is being collected in 1,500 households only. So not meant for scale compared to what the earlier RySS tool is, but yeah, getting into a whole lot of detail. There are also questions, things on diet quality, food insecurity, seed choice availability, women-based access to extension support mechanisms, etc., which are also being built as well. And the intent is that it can be used in other parts of the country as well, and then one can compare data, etc., as well. So yeah, so this stands for data integration for sustainability assessment. Right. So this was again with the CSA person who's now a researcher in Edinburgh University was demoing this, and so there generally the user interface is not as sorted, etc., as it is for the RySS tool. But if one were to then, I guess, do a comparison of nice, useful chat. If one were to do a comparison of where, what the different tools are good for, and which is where I was making a list of parameters that I thought we might want to check for. For data collection in itself, these are the first three are in a way sort of slightly more mass, and obviously the RySS tool is even more larger scale, whereas the CSA RedCap DISA tool is for a generally thought for a smaller user base.
Random sampling करके मतलब.
Right. Not for a bulk, for a tens of thousands or lakhs of people, I think.
Yeah.
The tracking of same information on the subject over a period of time is where the OTK Kobo toolbox didn't seem like it will work. RySS and EpiCollect clearly do the job, and plus is basically RedCap DISA is even better in terms of the longitudinal data collection. Similar users generally in all. Cost-wise, ODK Kobo toolbox are free. RySS tool is, RySS internal. So hopefully we can get it at whatever works best cost-wise for them as well. RedCap DISA we do not know. The assumption is that there might be some costs. So to be tech wala thing. For offline data usage, not a so all these three would have offline data usage as well. Not sure about EpiCollect, where it stands. For trial and research is where RedCap DISA is much better than the RySS tool, the ODK Kobo toolbox. Probably not as much for the research related perspective. Socioeconomic data is where RySS is somewhere there, but the RedCap DISA tool is at a much more detailed level. And if we go through the recording of the session that we had with Divya on RedCap DISA, then it goes into much more detail on the socioeconomic data as well. generally on the decisions on even part transition of the farmer level monitor is where the DISA tool is much better. So for a whole lot of farmers who are going to be incrementally increasing their area, or even let's say partly reducing their agrochemicals as well, is where the red cap DISA tool is much better that way. And having differing data sets for different types of farmers. So in RySS, it was a C1, C2, C3, C4, for instance, where you can capture different types of data. And similarly, in red cap DISA as well, we can have that. On the decision making and the role of women is where the CSA, the red cap DISA tool is better. From a visualization perspective, it is not as good compared to the RySS tool, which is better. Yeah, the health, nutrition, kitchen garden, RySS tool not there. Epic being already being used. Obviously, ODK books could be used. Yeah, the red cap DISA tool is already there. And yeah, this is the last slide in terms of the parameters. The time use division on how the 24 hours time period is being used. Agriculture production को लेकर. So generally you would see basically on a whole lot of things is where the red cap DISA tool is more intensive, more I guess deeper, but whereas the RySS tool also does the job sort of thing. So yeah, and some of the questions that I was actually for us to think about is if what tools would we actually then think would be needed? Obviously, and then also if we I don't know for the trainings that we are doing or are being done by the partners otherwise as well. Obviously, we can capture, look at the training impact capture as well. Also, if the transition at a farmer is happening at a smaller scale level compared to the larger scale transitions which are being looked at in the Andhra Pradesh experience. And yeah, eventually coming to the rollout for the partners, whatever mechanism, if we think how that might look at. But yeah, that was all at my end. I'll stop here and then see if there are any other questions, comments, etc. And then thoughts for next steps. There is a Vasana tool as well, which Sravanthi is trying to get access to. It is just being built, but that is at an early stage, and she hopefully should be getting access to that in the next days. I shall stop here. Any comments, suggestions? I'll stop the screen share as well. State facilitators, you're okay to take whatever tool is, if there are no questions, comments, whatever. You're okay with any tool? Aditya, Anjul, Avisha, Kuldeep, Kurian. Hello?
Yeah, there is no question as of now, but we can discuss with the partners.
But the thing is, we should not be going with this to partners with this versus this versus this. We should ideally have had our level of decision making ideally, or
Yes.
maybe we can do one small set of a demo, maybe that that could be, but not with, each of our partners, which tool would you like? So ideally, we would like some level of consistency, etc., on the tools. So that could be a process if we think we want to do that. Or obviously, if we the other way is if we already think what might be a better way out based on what we already know so far. Which tool might be more apt? I note the no, Anjul, Kuldeep, right? पर आप लोगों को कोई भी tool जो कुछ है, कोई suggestions, कुछ preferences just based on what you've seen, what next steps, or I don't know. Yeah, or maybe some of us take it up in me, Sravanthi, and maybe 1-2 people more can get involved in the tool selection wala process. Because the work will then come on you. So it's, on the state facilitators as well.
रोहित भाई, मुझे क्या लग रहा है ना, मुझे ये लग रहा है कि this is something that we cannot run away from. This is something which is going to come onto everyone's head after some point of time. For last 2-3 months, 4 months, the conversation was initiated ki why we are putting, SC members started asking, we are putting so much of money, we are putting so much of time, energy, how are we tapping the change that is happening on ground level? So this definitely is going to be something which cannot be avoided by any of the states. Every state has to engage, and largely it is going to at some point of time uh, make us also be slightly more credible to whatever the work is happening, just to establish that as a fact. Now what I feel is ki there is a clarity which will be required in terms of how do we want to operationalize this module, this tool into our working style. We don't have ICRPs, we don't work in that category, we work with the support of partner organization. A partner organization might have a CRP or might not have a CRP, or might have a CRP who is not interested in doing something or is not skilled to do something like this. Now all these possibilities exist within the framework that we work in, and our framework is slightly loose, as I would say. It is not that controlled where there are district level, there are sub level teams that are made. So mere dimag mein what was coming to my mind is, how do we find a space or create a space where there is a merger of red cap and RySS ka tool, which is slightly in detail, as because a lot of things that red cap spoke about are the questions, are the crucial important questions to tap out what do we want from this kind of data collection, or what do we want from this kind of activity. And then RySS tools will also, something like that will also, so वो process करने के लिए अगर अभी कोई नहीं भी कह रहा है, बट मुझे लगता है कि उसमें स्टेट्स के लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करना ही पड़ेगा, बिकॉज वो थोड़ा सा प्रैग्मेटिकली चीजें बता पाएंगे. विल इट वर्क, इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क. सो वो ये एक डिस्कशन से या 2-3 लोगों के डिस्कशन से मुझे लगता है थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होगा. वी नीड टू हैव मोर clarity and understanding and engagement. So how do we get more understanding of these tools? Can it be a next step? How do we individually have an access of these tools? हम लोग अपने अपने फोन में चला करके देखें. I don't know. I'm just trying to find a way to get some interest within the states also. Is a thought that I have right now.
Great points, Manas bhai. Access to tools is definitely something that I'll try and get for us, especially RySS wala tool and CSA wala. And my I mean, I guess after having the demos and me and Sravanthi, were speaking. But so what I was thinking was that maybe again this CSA DISA tool continuing to be for a smaller set of number of farmers in the organization for that those sort of research level of questions, where again some sort of transition, serious transition has already been underway, and the RySS tool ideally being the bulk tool of choice for the mass wala was the first thought that I had. In terms of the next step वाले में तो हाँ definitely access to tools, थोड़ा costings का figure out करना, how it might look like. At some point, if we also get maybe identify who are some of the early piloters, adopters from our partner organizations who could be in this, and obviously we can do a handheld filtering ourselves. So organizations which are already some way down in their transition journey, we already know in our states who these are. And also obviously have staffing resource, those who already have those institutional support mechanism structures to implement this as well. And if we get maybe some of them also involved in this, so that is what I was thinking. And obviously we might and we will not, I guess, go all states at once as well. So we can also see which ones to maybe prioritize, which might be ready, interested in this. Yeah, those were the 2-3 things which were coming to me. Any other suggestions, ideas, or just me and Manas by speaking with each other?
Nothing from me, Rohit.
पर कैसे आदित्य भाई करना रहेगा क्या, अगर गुजरात में करना रहेगा, एंड आप विजुलाइज कर रहे हो राइट कि एंड सेम Avishka, Kuldeep bhai, Korean, given you are the only 4-5 states here in this call, how would that work out in your state? Are you able to see what process you might want to see, or
yeah, so like go on, Rohit.
I'm done. I want to hear from you all.
So I am thinking of 2-3 things where I indulge with CSO partners as well as with Atmas. So right now, when I was having a call with this project director, they don't have any kind of MIS. The simple thing what they do is the farmer having the desi cow and doing farming comes under this natural farming program, and he is the natural farmer. That's it. But he said we don't have any proper MIS mechanism, so we can create some kind of like support them that we have this kind of system, not showing them the entire system because we will be having some integrated approach and they may be having some narrow down approach. We can show them something and we can indulge it. This is how I can use this thing tools. Other thing is that the CSOs who are coming up with natural farming projects, we can support them in building some kind of MI system, building their capacities and all through this mechanisms. So I can see beyond.
So on the first point, Aditya bhai, I don't know if the Gujarat government will be that interested. If so, then well and good, then great. But if not, it might then obviously we can start with the civil society before taking it to the state government as well. But if the state government wants to engage, then obviously that is another opportunity for us to engage. But I mean, the few organizations which might be interested in taking this up, which might have the time bandwidth, and is already doing some significant work on natural farming as well for the monitoring.
Rohit
Yeah,
Manas is waiting room. Can you please let him in?
yes,
You are
yes.
the host here. मेरे पास कोई दूसरा पॉइंट मतलब अलग पॉइंट था नहीं, मेरे भी दो तीन पॉइंट ही थे सिमिलर टू व्हाट मानस हैड सेड. पहला अभी एकदम बताना कि कौन सा ऐप ठीक है वो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, बट जो आपने एनालाइज किए हैं, जो आपने वो टेबल बना के दिखाया, उससे ऐसा लग रहा था कि वो CSA वाला टूल और RySS वाला टूल दोनों में से किसी एक को देख सकते हैं, बट वही डिटेल में समझना पड़ेगा कि दोनों में क्या क्या है, वो इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे पूरा देखना रहेगा. दूसरा पॉइंट आई हैड व्हाइल डूइंग द फंड रेजिंग एक्सरसाइज, मुझे ये समझ आया कि बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, स्पेशली छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के पास तो CRPs नाम की कुछ चीज ही नहीं है. वो डायरेक्टली खुद ही एंगेज कर रहे हैं फार्मर्स के साथ, तो उनके साथ ये एक्सरसाइज कैसे किया जा सकता है वो थोड़ा सोचना रहेगा. एक आपने बताया कि कुछ एक्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को चूज करके, जैसे फार्म बुक का हमने पायलट शुरू किया, सिमिलर वैसा कुछ कर सकते हैं. बट आई वाज आल्सो थिंकिंग कि कुछ छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, मतलब इस पायलट में हम थोड़ा डाइवर्स रखे, कुछ छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी रहे जो जस्ट शुरू कर रही है, कुछ एक्सपीरियंस भी रहे और कुछ जो बीच में है वो भी रहे. I just had these 2 points, but on my individual level, I also need to understand RySS wala tool in detail and CSA wala also in detail.
Yeah. So I'll try and get access. One of the next steps I'm taking is कि उनका access मिले. और हाँ वही, I mean I'm guessing कि smaller organizations पे तो अभी नहीं पहुंचेंगे. But हाँ eventually अगर वो, that was one of the questions that I had as well. ये but I guess that can be something that we can park on for later as well. And starting के लिए one would start on from the slightly larger organizations.
Why Rohit bhai? Why not with small organization?
Because they do not have CRPs.
They might not have
Enough
HR.
HR.
No,
sorry.
So I'm thinking in terms of the data, if we are talking about voluminous data, then तो बहुत ज़्यादा HR की जरूरत पड़ेगी. बट मान लो एक छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के 5 किसान सैम्पलिंग के लिए निकल के आते हैं, तो for 5 farmers, even if for a smaller organization, data collection shouldn't be a problem. No, I'm just thinking from those lines.
इन राजस्थान मानस जितना मैं छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का समझ पाई, उनके पास कोई CRP ही नहीं है, वो डायरेक्टली फार्मर्स के साथ काम कर रहे हैं. तो हाँ,
even for the day-to-day work as well, they are struggling is a sense that one gets from some of the smaller organizations. So any additional work would be
because this is a prolonged engagement and every now and then some information will be required, इसलिए थोड़ा मुश्किल हो सकता है.
And when we were doing the farm diary वाली exercise, बहुत सारे सवाल आ रहे थे कि हम वॉलंटरी क्यों करें इसको, क्या फायदा है, स्पेशली इन फैक्ट बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस से भी आ रहे थे ये सवाल कि हमें कुछ तो देना पड़ेगा CRPs को ये एक्सरसाइज करने के लिए, क्योंकि ये किसी प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर फिट नहीं हो रहा है. तरह के काफी सवाल श्रजेश और मैंने फेस किए थे उस दौरान. शायद विनय पीयूडी ने भी कुछ फेस किए होंगे, वो भी कुछ बता पाएंगे. बट इट्स अ वेरी वो लॉन्ग टर्म एक्सरसाइज और बहुत सोच समझ के फिर इसको क्राइटेरिया बना के चूज करना ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को.
Yeah, I agree and I understand, and the only thought that comes to my mind right now, Rohit bhai, is ki going forward, whenever we are trying to, let's say, raise funds, for a centralized kind of project, there's something like we were doing with APF and all, probably there can be a specific cost for evaluation at the end of 3rd year, which can cater to some of these costs of doing these processes through CRPs also. Maybe tool we will come to finalize in coming months, but because if organizations are not interested in paying for the extra work, if it is not part of it, it's better to include in our project, and then we can communicate it to the partners that we have already budgeted for it. So if we are doing some trainings or capacity building, at the end of the day there will be some data collection, some information which is also part of it, and probably we can enumerate in some way sometime, if not entirely supporting it. So वैसा वाला.
Right. So you are suggesting कि fundraising के लिए भी हम थोड़ा some fund support from our side as well for this.
हाँ, for the cost that is specifically for doing this process, जहाँ CRP को जाना है, data collect करना है, it's an extra task. Although every organization में जो भी CRP रहेंगे, they are supposed to do whatever the organization tells them, but they are already so loaded with their things, and it is our desirability to show the change, and that's why we should also account specifically for some amount, especially for these things, in whatever future fundraising we are trying to do, is what I'm trying to say.
This also gives rise to another, I don't know, corresponding thought in my mind. It might be useful for us to have that mapping of how our partner organizations are structured. Some which have CRP,
Yes.
some which do not have
Yes.
a CRP. So for us to actually have that visualization and the different models of our partner organizations. So having that mapping, and again, obviously state facilitators coming in that exercise on what are the different models and having it actually mapped down. So whether it is
Yes.
a CRP who will be engaging in some circumstance, and yeah, that will help.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because we are already doing ecosystem mapping, and in that ecosystem mapping, one is how resource persons are placed, and in what numbers, what experience, all that thing is there. But beyond that is also how our organization have different sort of systems being operated within them, so we are able to create a space where different functional organization can be, मतलब ज्यादा से ज्यादा type of organization can be part of it. जिनके पास CRP है, जिनके पास CRP नहीं है, जो भी situations है, तो वो it is important. And how can we do it in a simpler form, not making it complex, is something that we can think about.
Yeah. And maybe there can be different ways of with different types of organizations. One can then look at different types of tools. ठीक. I guess we're getting good conversations, good outcomes. I've noted just a few of the action items as well. Yeah, Mastanbi, when you share the wider wala thing with the recording, will be of use for others too. Anything else from anybody? Avisha, you have raised your hand.
I just had a random thought. पता नहीं वो कितना possible होगा या नहीं, but कुछ organizations हैं जो अपने level पे ODK, कोपो कलेक्ट, एपी कलेक्ट यूज कर रही है, तो टू स्टार्ट विद हम उनके साथ शुरू कर सकते हैं, ताकि वहां पे ज्यादा एफर्ट ना डालना पड़े, क्योंकि उन लोगों के पास ऑलरेडी कुछ सिस्टम एस्टैब्लिश्ड है. तो आई वाज जस्ट थिंकिंग दैट वे. तो वो जो आप बोल रहे हैं मैपिंग करना, उसके बाद आई वाज जस्ट थिंकिंग कि टू स्टार्ट विद वी कैन उन संस्थाओं के साथ शुरू कर सकते हैं जिनके पास ऑलरेडी ये सिस्टम एस्टैब्लिश्ड है, सीआरपीस है. या
अगर हम बात करें झारखंड की, तो मुझे लगता है कि सीआरपी तो 90% के पास नहीं होगा. 90% सीएसओ पार्टनर्स के पास इस तरह का नहीं है. टूल्स जरूर इस्तेमाल करते हैं, बट तो कैसे करना पड़ेगा तो देखना.
ठीक. यूजफुल फीडबैक कुलदीप.
आई थिंक ये आइडिया अच्छा है अभिषा. हम उनके साथ अगर स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं जिनका ऑलरेडी थोड़ा अनुभव है, आई थिंक इट विल give us the results थोड़ा जल्दी अगर हम उनके साथ engage करते हैं तो, है ना, और उनसे कुछ conversations, although जैसे कोबो and all are also used in very sociological surveys, घर पे कितनी बकरी है, कितना कुआं कितने मीटर दूर है, पानी कौन सी संस्था, कौन सी subsidies मिल रही है, all those sort of things, but we will have to contextualize it and put it in a survey format which is easier to understand. तो बट एपी कलेक्ट का मुझे नहीं पता, अगर वो लोग एपी कलेक्ट ऑलरेडी यूज कर रहे हैं तो अपन उनसे बात भी कर सकते हैं, अभिषा चेक कर सकते हैं कि ऑलरेडी क्या डेटा है उनके पास में, एंड वी कैन गो थ्रू दैट डेटा.
वन बेनिफिट इज कि सीआरपीस को ट्रेन करने में बहुत टाइम जाता है. जब हम फार्म बुक के लिए भी कर रहे थे तो उनको समझाना, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट दैट टेक सेवी और उनको यूज करना भी नहीं आता है, तो इसीलिए द वन पॉइंट इज दैट उनका एग्जिस्टिंग डेटा यूज करे. दूसरा ये है कि सीआरपीस को इतना समय नहीं लगेगा चीजें समझने में जितना नए सीआरपीस को लगेगा. तो वो टाइम बहुत सारा बचने के chances है, time plus efforts as well.
True. नहीं, let's do it and you can initiate that conversation जो लोग already कर रहे हैं उनके साथ में, whoever is interested within the secretariat, we can have a call and try understanding their experience and probably analyzing what they have already done or what they have with the data. तो वो बिल्कुल we can do it as one of the parallel things. जो रोहित भाई ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं, बट रोहित भाई मुझे एक चीज और ये लग रही है, पैरेलली कॉन्वर्सेशन ऑफ व्हाट आर वी एक्सपेक्टिंग आउट ऑफ दिस एक्सरसाइजेस, व्हाट इज द टाइमलाइन वी आर थिंकिंग इन वेयर this data collection will be happening. This will be happening in segments, quarterly basis, half yearly basis. So some conversations around how are we thinking, looking at what NCNF is and what its work is going to be, how are we conceptualizing it, वो भी parallel conversations अपन थोड़ा सा start करेंगे तो और थोड़ा सा शायद clarity और confidence आएगा.
टाइमलाइन के पहले आपने क्या बोला था? टाइमलाइन के पहले कुछ बोला था, right? You mentioned something for the timeline.
The conceptual clarity of, you know, looking at how NCNF is, what NCNF is, and how do we work with, what is our connection with farmers and how are we working with them, how are we engaging with them, defining it, and based on that defining the kind of data collection we want to do. Hello.
Okay. Yeah. I've noted it down.
This will be very crucial क्योंकि संस्थाएं ये सवाल करेंगी कि हम कैसे सोच रहे हैं.
We'll take it. ये वाला conceptual clarity वाले को तो एक detailed discussion will be needed. We'll take it offline.
Yeah.
And timeline के लिए तो I'm guessing there is no, I don't know, as of now तो no burning hurry for this. I mean, obviously this needs to be done, but no immediate pressure, I guess, what I'm sensing.
No, not. So what I'm trying to also think is, in Rohit bhai, ये करना होगा तो we will have to roll out at a specific point of time,
right,
where we can say कि हाँ, now we are with our partner organizations across our different states, we are in a position where we can roll out. So this might be 9 months down the line or 10 months down the line, but we have to be prepared in advance for saying that we are there.
And we can focus on season as well. कब से शुरू करना है, इस खरीफ से करना है, रबी से करना है, वो थोड़ा सा clarity जरूरी रहेगा.
Yeah, so timeline and starting from which season, frequency, etc. And also from a resource perspective too, from our side, I would think having a dedicated person, a new person for this would be needed, would be my understanding.
Because so not immediately, but after some point of time it is going to become a huge pile of data and one needs someone to analyze it.
We did it from starting because there needs a lot of follow-up. When I was doing, I had to give in X amount of time to this exercise and other things were getting delayed.
Totally.
All useful points.
ऑन कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइजेशन वाला पॉइंट की कॉन्सेप्ट कैसे वो क्लैरिटी लाना, आई वाज आल्सो थिंकिंग कि हम लोगों ने राजस्थान के अंदर और शायद एमपी के अंदर भी कुछ कुछ चीजें डिफाइन करने की कोशिश करी थी। मेरे को कहीं मिलता है, मैं आपके साथ शेयर करती हूँ, आप विनय पियूली से भी पूछ सकते हैं, उन लोगों के पास फार्म डायरी को लेके कुछ नोट वोट है, तो दैट कैन बी अ बेस और उसके ऊपर हम बिल्ड कर सकते हैं।
And yeah, maybe call just for this. I don't know whether now or whether when this new person.
What did you say at the end?
Honey, I was mentioning maybe call just for this, for the farm diary experiences, relevance to this, either now or later, when a dedicated person we are thinking of joins for this.
Yeah. So we can do it.
Sounds good. And I mean, let's see अगर existing funds वगैरह वाला works or whether we need to raise additional funds for this. ठीक. A lot of points have come. Thank you everyone. I'll share the recording, etc. of the
criteria. No need to explain that.
What criteria?
The criteria you prepare to get the farmers' data.
You're mentioning to your point, right, Sravanthi?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Which is what I say. Yeah, I think from my side we are done now, and we can jump now to your wala.
Yes. It's just 5 minutes and share. Is it visible? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So we already discussed this few days back, and based on your comments, I have prepared this new one. So this is the criteria to get the farmers data, like how many transition farmers, how many new farmers from the partners. So name of the organization, type of the organization, year from which they have started working towards NF. Like who are the resource persons associated with that organization. And also I have defined the definition of resource. And if there are any program coordinators, the details of the program coordinators, CRPs, or other than all resource persons, program coordinators, CRPs, whether there are any other stuff, here the details will be given. And number of kitchen gardens established by the particular CSO. Overall farmer reach, how many farmers they have reached. And in that overall farmer reach, number of male farmers and number of female farmers. Number of fully transformed farmers, means practicing totally NF in their fields. And transition farmers who are partially just started practicing NF. And new farmers who are interested to practice NF. And total acreage means total acreage under NF. This will be under fully transformed farmers. So we can consider the fully transformed farmers. If a farmer is having 10 acres of land and he is able to practice NF only in 2 acres completely, he can be considered as a fully transformed farmer. Whether he is not practicing in the remaining 8 acres, it is fine if he is practicing in 2 acres fully, totally. So he can be considered as a fully transformed farmer. So, and this is regarding champion farmers data. So number of champion farmers, who first of all, who can be called as a champion farmer? Practicing at least 2 years, enough from past 2 years in their farm. He is considered as champion farmer. And name of the district, name of the block, total extent he is having, and types of crops he's grown, and practices adopted till now, and non-negotiables he's practicing in his field, whether he's having a kitchen garden or not, and whether he's having a demo plot, like I have any models, polycropping vegetable models, filer model, any kind of model if he's having, and if possible, the GPS coordinates of the plot and the photograph of the plot. Regarding
Does
champion, yes, Monica.
just does frequency of sprays or adding these things, adding hair make sense, or
Frequency of, okay.
just
Uh,
checking that came to thought. In 1 month, is he
uh,
in a whole crop? She's adding for 1 time or 2 time, or she's adding for let's say thrice in a season or twice in a season. So
yeah.
will that be important or not for now?
Not for now. This is only to get the farmers' data, like how many farmers do we have till now, how many champion farmers.
Okay, okay.
So that I didn't go
Okay,
into the detail.
okay, okay, ठीक है.
Yes.
This,
And so here there are some points as I mentioned. If he's having 10 acres of land and might be practicing NF in 2 acres, leaving the remaining land barren, based on his circumstances, it is acceptable to consider him as a champion farmer. But practicing NF and continuing conventional farming cannot be considered as a champion farmer. He should be totally practicing NF only. He is not into conventional farming. So in such case, if he is practicing both, he is not considered as a champion farmer. He can be under partial farmer category.
He or she, Sravanthi.
He or she. And the timeline. So we need to discuss about these 2 points, like how much timeline is required, who will take the responsibility of this data collection. Yes.
okay, someone who has 10 acres and practices 8 acres may conventional agriculture, but for last 2 years that individual has at least started with 2 acres. So that won't be that individual won't be a champion farmer, uh, but those 2 acres will be considered as enough plots.
Yes. But in the remaining 8 acres, he is not practicing anything. So he can be considered as a champion farmer.
I'm saying that person, she might be practicing conventional agriculture, which is chemical agriculture.
Yes. I'm saying that some farmers practice both conventional partially. In one, if they have 2 acres, they will practice NF in 1 acre, and in the remaining 1 acre, they practice conventional farming. Or in the same 1 acre, they will do both. So such kind of farmers are not considered as champion farmers.
Okay. Just thinking, okay, just not related to this, but just thinking what is the process, because a lot of people will be in that transitioning space where they will start from small and then slowly decrease their chemical fields only when they see the benefits in their natural field.
Yes.
So how do we also create a space where they are championing their small space to becoming big is what I was coming to. But yeah, makes sense. Go ahead.
That's it. These details get from the partner. Rohit, like who will take the responsibility to collect this data?
Yeah, so In the meanwhile, before we get, let's say, a dedicated data person, etc., for the thing that we discussed just before this, the thought process being, if we are to actually try and get this information, before the Kharif season, then ideally we only basically within the secretariat only, I guess, take that process on. Obviously, the state facilitator is playing a role, and with those of us, supporting the state facilitators to help with that data. And this obviously being something that us trying to have it across the 8-9 states. So being the thought process. So again, I guess Avisha, Anjul, Kuldeep Bhai, Korean.
So, Rohit Bhai, for this data,
Aditya Bhai, yeah.
We need to make sure that we need to show them this things are much important. Then only they will share the data. Like, we just can't go and ask for the data because no one is sharing the data.
Right. Why should they take additional work?
This is a very big question. So we need to create a parallel program for this. These things are coming up. Because this will frustrate all the state facilitators. Because no one will share it.
Yeah.
I completely second Aditya, and I have shared this in personal chat as well. पहले भी हमने काफी डेटा कलेक्ट किए थे, तो तब भी सवाल आ रहे थे.
I guess partner को answer करना, so that being the second step, but first step, are we in sync that we need this sort of data वगैरह?
I am not.
Aditya bhai, are you? Why should this data be collected in the first place?
Yes, we are like in Gujarat. I have gone through this several training programs, and to understand the impact of the program, the partners will eventually ask me to go through some quality parameters. So this will help me to do, because I have something to give on their table. So to evaluate the training programs, how the CRPs are working, if things are reaching there or not. These tools, like I have a valid reason to validate these tools again, but we need to give some strong parallel activity with this. So yes, if we are giving something to them, things will be easy. But if we are not giving anything to them, then.
And just to add to what Aditya bhai mentioned, Avisha, so there are a few things. I guess I don't think we have gone into the champion farmer data wala tab yet. One is that opportunity is there to have our champion farmers also engaged with the state governments as part of the National Mission on Natural Farming. So that being one. Secondly, for
can I answer parallelly to the question?
Yeah, that is fine. So we can do one by one, I guess, rather than.
तो हम लोगों ने राजस्थान में तो वैसे भी डेटा कलेक्ट किया ही है चैंपियन फार्मर्स वाला, तो इट विल बी रेपिटेटिव एक्सरसाइज फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन.
So yes and no. No in the sense कि we will have that as a benchmark कि ये data आया है आपके इससे, but as you were mentioning, चैंपियन फार्मर का डेफिनेशन एंड कुछ फार्मर्स का इंफॉर्मेशन जो है चैंपियन फार्मर वाली लिस्ट में, दे आर नॉट ट्रूली फुल टाइम नेचुरल फार्मिंग, दे आर पार्ट नेचुरल पार्ट केमिकल.
That I was able to tell you because I visited their fields.
Right. So, but we need partners to have that clarity as well. What do we mean by a champion farmer? किनका data चाहिए, किनका नहीं चाहिए, as well. And we obviously वैसे farmers का हमें नहीं चाहिए रहेगा. So using that as an example, without necessarily naming the organization out in public, we can highlight कि ऐसे farmer का हमें नहीं चाहिए. तो हाँ, it will be for Rajasthan. It will be a cleanup and an update. And obviously, not all the organizations might even have champion farmers, and not all would have given that data as well. But for instance, Vagdara se we had only asked for 10, 15. JKBT se we had only asked for a smaller number, whereas we know these have larger numbers of champion farmers as well. So that being one. Second being the practices. So one is obviously also before a tool comes in, generally for us to know what practices the organization is doing, where again, how many CRPs they have, how many staffs they have, when we are also thinking of their capacity building exercise plans वगैरह, as we are now starting to work towards in this sheet, as we are starting to think on what has also been the overall transition part वगैरह की. So the way I'm also seeing this is that most of these we will hopefully have captured via the new tool that we are thinking, in the long period of time. Usage of that bigger tool will be slow, will be gradual. The adoption, etc., will happen at its own pace. So in that time frame, this will serve as a baseline, etc., to map where they are, where we are to get to. Maybe it could actually also be part of the annual action plan for an organization as well. I'm just thinking out loud. Let's say they have, 50 kitchen gardens, getting to 100, or if they have 50 champion farmers right now, maybe we say they say they want to get to maybe 75, etc., that sort of a thing. So there is an actual slightly, self-committed transition numbers, वगैरह. We have 50 farmers who are practicing just vermicompost, maybe, as who are being defined as natural farmers. Then okay, we're like unko thoda aur beyond. So a whole lot of interim monitoring, transition, etc., related things is what will, and obviously, sharing to the government some more reliable numbers. Like right now, we do not have those sort of reliable numbers, as you yourself say, on what the situation in Rajasthan is. Starting from farmer reach to transitioning farmers and so on. And also ideally at a district by district level as well, if we can. So we can then say, these many farmers in these districts, etc., etc. And also having a more defined definition. So Sravanthi, I guess what might also help is, if in the, and I don't know, you might have already done it, but in the transitioning farmers, if we have various category, like RySS has C1, C2, C3. So if we are also having various category of transitioning farmers as well, I don't know if we are, but if we are, then defining those various categories also would be useful.
Okay.
So very few natural farmers are going to be those who might be using just, or natural organic farmers who might be using just local seeds. A whole lot of these would be using hybrid, etc., as well. For instance, I would guess a whole lot of these would be literally just using vermicompost being bought from somewhere. So that where we are also able to, without it being too difficult, too intensive, but it gives us the story and a few categories. Wala. So that was the only point.
We should, Rohit bhai, I think it is important. But we also should try bringing out these categories based on what is the reality of our partners. Uh, um, how are they different? Then so it should have some, and that can probably only happen when we have some information of what is the sthiti of the organizations.
और ये
So
रोहित assumption है कि हमारे पास reliable data आएगा, कितना भी हम definition define करें. This is again when I was informally speaking with one of the organization, वहां से आया कि वो खुद ही बोल रहे थे कि हम reliable data नहीं देते हैं, हम खुद ही अभी जगल कर रहे हैं कि कैसे numbers ground पे क्या है और क्या numbers हम दे रहे हैं. तो this is just an assumption.
Which is fair enough, I guess. And obviously, like जैसे मान लो राजस्थान में 32 organizations है, तो I would guess कि maybe 5-10 का शायद reliable आए, 10-15 का के पास reliable ना आए, but it is still their data, which it is what we have wala, and we work on the basis of that. And my assumption again would be those who are slightly more mature in their works, जो कई सालों से काम कर रही हैं, and the larger organizations, they might have slightly better data. The newer the organizations, those are on early stage of the journey, the smaller organizations, etc., they might have less. I'm generalizing, but that being the case, and that's okay. I mean, we live with whatever data accuracy benchmark in our heads. Maybe the larger organizations can maybe at a whatever 60, 70, 80%. The smaller, the early stage organizations at a 20-30%, which is okay. But it is something to take get an idea of.
I am just thinking it loud, and I think I don't know how, but if somehow the communication aspect of this data collection, I feel it is going to be an inevitable part. We are definitely in a space jahan par if someone is giving us money, we're going to ask certain data in this development space is like that. But now the problem with us right now is जिस तरीके से different type of pathways we have chosen to work with our state partner and partner organizations and the kind of chemistry we share with them. How do we make this communication more effortless and more smooth or more interactive in a way where they don't see it as a burden? I don't know. I'm just thinking कि क्या ऐसा कुछ किया जा सकता है जहां से और can it be rewarded with something else? Can there be कि हाँ जो भी CRPs है, there is a certain set of selection or certain set of training gonna happen with all state facilitators, and जो भी CRPs होंगे, and they will get rewarded by I don't know, a certificate or a government recognized something. We will have to think on these lines. Only then this data collection can be, the errors can be minimized. Because with MP also they tried doing a very extensive data collection, but there were issues when it was collected and how it was collected and processed. So even if we make a very good data points in a questionnaire, the process of someone who is collecting it and how it is done has to be very well taken care of. And that's where I am feeling ki if there can be some, like Ria is not here, but I would have like also thought कि इसको कैसे creatively engage किया जाए partners के साथ में, जहां से जो भी हम चीजें मांग रहे हैं data form में वो बहुत ज्यादा burden की तरह appear ना हो.
So one way which comes to my mind, and you already hinted towards that, is we can tie this to the capacity building plans that we are thinking of as well. Let's say if we find out organization has X number of CRPs, X number of champion farmers or potential champion farmers or whatever, then it comes to a point, right, this is actually going to help us in planning. And obviously the assumption being we are in a situation, we will be in a situation where we will do capacity building of the CRP champion farmers.
Yeah.
Obviously it could be physical or it could be virtual as well. So with that being the case,
Shravan. Sorry.
I'm done.
Sravanthi, I just wanted to understand the status of the capacity building exercise that we were planning
in MP.
in other states as well.
Currently, we are working for MP only. We haven't planned in other states.
No plans for now in other states.
No.
No money for now.
And MP also delaying regarding funds issue.
So which is where I guess 2-3 things. One is obviously we try and see if we get funds, etc. Wala cheese. That being one, or obviously maybe virtual trainings ही अगर state level पे नहीं हो पा रहा, or with other partners wala, again the same joint fundraising wala things, and which is where I mean if we had to do just for capacity building, my understanding assumption would be it would be obviously a lesser amount, Abhishek, than compared to what we were trying to raise for Rajasthan earlier on. And the numbers, so we can I mean you can sync up with Sravanthi later on. So in the SIF wala, the AKDN numbers that have gone in, we again had a restriction there. So we try to put some amount for the CRP fund vagere in some states. And yeah, we can explore for more donors in different states just for the CRP, etc. capacity building wala bit too.
I don't know if it's just me here in ये 10 लोगों के बीच में 9 लोगों के बीच में मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है हम बहुत सारी चीजें बोल रहे हैं, बट मेरे को उन बहुत सारी चीजों में से कुछ चीजें, जैसे एक पॉइंट आपने बोला रोहित कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को हम सजेशन दे सकते हैं कि दीज आर द चैंपियन फार्मर्स, एक वो पॉइंट समझ आ रहा है. उसके बियॉन्ड हम बोल रहे हैं कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग का, राइट? It can be virtual or physical, or it can be hybrid as well.
Ideally obviously physical, पर अगर physical के लिए पैसे नहीं हुए then
तो virtual तो वैसे भी if I again speak of Rajasthan, virtual तो हो ही रहा था, तो उसमें ये data कहाँ feed in कर रहा है?
So I mean basically a bit more structure. Obviously this would be less of benefit जहाँ पे already virtual हो रहे हैं. But a bit more structure is you would then know कि within your 30 organizations you have, I don't know, 225 CRPs or whatever the number, and X number of potential champion farmers, and then you can basically then see कि कितने CRPs हैं जो किन के लिए आ रहे हैं. So just that monitoring etc. वाला part, हमारा WhatsApp ग्रुप में हम कितने CRPs के साथ हैं, कि हम बाकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के भी CRPs को भी जोड़ सकते हैं वगैरह वगैरह. Those sort of processes. Intent obviously being कि we try and get to the physical training, but until we get there, we do what we can do wala. If the workarounds. And I'm speaking out on top of my head. So any other thoughts, ideas?
Yeah.
Suggestions, comments, please do. And obviously, me and Sravanthi can write it as well, right? What are the responses that we give to the partners and why this exercise as well?
That would be helpful.
Cheek. Okay, I guess Kuldeep and Anjul also have to leave. We are reaching the end of the time. So what would be useful is please, Sravanthi, if you can just send an email again on the email you had sent. And now that people have undergone this, and then they can see if there are any other comments, suggestions, etc.
Yes.
One obviously from me was if you look at the various levels of transition of the farmers, wala thing. And also maybe have, I don't know if we already have district level data entry as well. That might be a decent. And the third thing was the FES tool. But maybe all of these we can take it. The FES tool.
Village survey form, Sravanthi. That we have on our website.
Yes.
And maybe we can take it in a morning call, given that in itself will not take that much time.
Yes,
Once.
it is just 5 minutes.
So then also, and then what sort of data? I mean, if we think the FES tool is good, and if we can and should capture some of it through there.
Rohit, in FES tool, there is just basic details of. There are 2 sections in which, in the first section, they discussed about the basic details of organization. In the second section, they discussed about the state-wise name of the state, district, blocks, and villages. And they have a backend data, like the data observatory portal, in which the FES dashboard is visible to see whether they have uploaded the data or not.
Yeah, fair enough, Shanti. Yeah, we can take it offline, I guess, in one of the morning calls.
Yes.
Okay.
I just had one thing, gender training wala Manas. If you can just let me know, are we reaching together to Bhopal, to Kesla from Bhopal? Manas? इसको लेके कुछ डिस्कशन हुआ है लास्ट वीक मॉर्निंग कॉल में?
Just a second, I'm sorry, my phone was on the hand. हाँ, तो मैं ये बोल रहा था कि रिया से conversation चल रहा है, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to find out someone in Bhopal to host a team building activity sort of thing on 29th. The conversation is कि we will spend 29th from morning time till evening time. We will be in Bhopal. We will leave in the evening time to Kesla on 29th, have dinner and stay there that night, and then subsequent nights till 31st is the thought. So right now we have not been able to finalize who that person is who can hold something on 29th in Bhopal.
What time on 31st?
Sorry?
What time on 31st do we get free?
अभी उसका मैंने मेल डाला है इनको जो कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहे हैं अमित और रचना जी को to share us some idea of by what time we can be free on 31st.
So the reason I was asking was by 31st night, can I book a train from Bhopal back?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. So मैं बताता हूँ मैं आपको आज फिर से क्लियरली पूछ लूंगा उनसे कि कितने बजे तक शाम में एंड हो जाएगा और जैसे ही मुझे पता चलता है I'll share it with you.
And Kesla to Bhopal is how many hours?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Also Manas, now I see कि हम सब साथ में पहुंच जाए तो 29th evening मस्तान भी ने जो शीट शेयर करी है उसमें सबका arrival will be on 29th evening, right?
29th evening कहाँ पर?
मस्तान भी ने जो केसला में.
हाँ केसला में 29th evening है but you don't have to मतलब everyone has to come either on 28th night maximum or by 29th early morning. उससे ज़्यादा late.
No, I am talking about the sheet that Mastan भी has shared for to be shared with केसला में जो coordinate कर रहे हैं उनके साथ.
हाँ.
उसमें तो सबका arrival 29th evening रहेगा ना?
केसला के लिए हाँ केसला क्योंकि 29th evening हम सब साथ में ही जाएंगे क्योंकि दिन हमने साथ में बिताया होगा.
Right, तो उसमें काफी अलग-अलग डाल रखा है सभी ने तो that needs to be on one page. Everyone needs to be on one page for that.
अच्छा मस्तान भी kindly take a note of this and just if there is a confusion just clear them abhi and drop a message that everyone has to reach by 28th night to Bhopal or maximum by 29th morning and then we go together to Kesla by evening. ठीक है. So I'll also go through it. Okay,
Thank you.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll conclude. Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Good day.
Bye, guys. Good day. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Do stop the recording, Mastanbi.
Yeah, yes, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
I'm stopping here. Now, maybe not stop all.